Picture this, right? You're a wealthy foreign investor standing right in front of one of the world's most breathtaking architectural wonders, the Taj Mahal. Out of nowhere, this incredibly sophisticated government official approaches you. He's got a warm smile, speaks with absolute, undeniable authority, and is carrying what looks like flawless paperwork. Then he offers you literally the deal of a lifetime. Buy this historic national monument, monetize the heck out of it, and rake in unimaginable fortunes. Well, welcome to this explainer on the astonishing, completely shadowy world of Mithilish Kumar Srivastava, a man you probably know better as the ultimate phantom, Natwarlal.
Okay, let's dive into this. Because, just asking that question, how do you sell the Taj Mahal? It feels completely absurd, right? But seriously, put yourself in the shoes of that investor for a second. You're being pitched a national monument by a guy who looks, acts, and sounds exactly like a high-ranking bureaucrat. He's talking about liquidating state assets. The documents, they're covered in official government seals. Everything feels so incredibly real. And, well, your ambition just kind of takes over. So you hand over actual suitcases full of cash. And it's only later, when you walk proudly up to the monument to claim your brand new property, and you get stopped by these totally bewildered local security guards, that you realize you don't actually own a global landmark. You own absolutely nothing at all. Now, this wasn't just some crazy one-off Hollywood script. No way. This happened in real life. And the man behind it, Natwarlal, he didn't just pull it off once. He successfully sold the Taj Mahal 3 separate times. Oh, and not to mention the Red Fort and even the Indian Parliament House. Which brings us to Section 1, Origins of a Master Con. So to understand how a single person literally became an epidemic of deception, we have to look at his humble origins. Born way back in 1912 in the quiet village of Bangor, Bihar, to a station master, young Mithilish was frankly remarkably bright. He had this incredibly sharp intellect and just an uncanny facility for numbers. So his family sent him off to study commerce in Calcutta, where he lived what looked like a totally conventional life. But beneath that mild-mannered exterior lay a terrifyingly precise gift. The guy had an immaculate capacity for mimicry, and his very first step across the line, it was incredibly simple. He literally just practiced the fluid lines of a neighbor's signature on a blank sheet of paper, walked right up to a bank teller, pushed a withdrawal slip across the counter, and walked away with 1,000 rupees, which, by the way, was a small fortune at the time. Honestly, by the time the neighbor even noticed, the commerce student was long gone, and a master criminal was born.
And this brilliantly illustrates his most dangerous realization. You see, in a pre-digital era, we're talking long before biometric scans or secure banking algorithms were a thing, Mithilish discovered that human institutions didn't actually verify the truth. They didn't. They just verified authority, basically through the stroke of a pen. And because he could replicate pretty much any signature on Earth, authority could simply be forged. It was like he found a cheat code to reality.
Moving on to Section 2, Anatomy of the Scam.
Now, selling monuments that literally belong to the state requires a staggering level of psychological engineering. Let's move to Orient and see how this builds into an exact 4-step mechanism for the ultimate scam. Phase 1 is identification. He would meticulously spot wealthy, completely unsuspecting foreign tourists or super ambitious businessmen. Then Phase 2 is the credibility trap. And get this, he didn't even wear a physical disguise. He just wore pure, unadulterated confidence. He'd present these flawlessly forged governmental seals and ministry stamps. Phase 3 is the pitch. He'd convince the buyer that the government was facing a severe financial shortfall, and was quietly looking to lease out these massive assets to private syndicates. And finally, Phase 4, the close. Picture these meetings in high-end colonial hotels, exchanging meticulously drafted sales deeds for literal heavy suitcases of cash. He proved time and time again that anyone's desires, no matter how grand, can absolutely be manipulated.
Section 3, the Shield of Silence.
So you're probably wondering, how on earth did he avoid immediate consequences for decades? Well, the answer lies in his victim profile. Natwarlal rarely, if ever, targeted ordinary citizens. He went straight for the elite, wealthy industrialists, foreign investors, institutional bankers. And here is the incredible, dramatic irony of the whole thing. These marks actually thought they were outsmarting the system. They were willingly engaging in shady, under-the-table transactions to secure illicit shortcuts. Because of this, when they eventually realized they'd been swindled out of millions, they couldn't go to the police. They literally couldn't do it without confessing to their very own corruption. It was a brilliant, practically invisible shield of silence. Millions of rupees vanished into his network, causing the complete collapse of massive businesses and absolutely ruining overconfident speculators. But his victims? They stayed perfectly quiet. They were entirely trapped by the very greed that Natwarlal had so masterfully weaponized against them. Let's jump right into Section 4, Legendary Escapes. Of course, a guy like this couldn't stay off the radar forever. Detectives across basically 8 different states chased this intellectual shapeshifter who utilized false names, phantom corporations, and just vanishing accomplices. Witnesses described a man who could effortlessly change his accent and posture. I mean, get this, he once actually charmed a police inspector into offering him tea while the inspector was holding an active arrest warrant for him. It's wild. And even when he did get arrested, his escapes were just absolutely audacious. He once literally walked right out of a high-security prison. How? By forging the jail superintendent's signature, dressing up in a stolen police uniform, and casually waving goodbye to the guards on his way out. You just can't make this up.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sheer number here, 113. Over his lifetime, courts sentenced Natwarlal cumulatively to roughly 113 to 117 years in prison. Think about that. Yet, despite this massive, monumental sentence, he barely served any of it. Thanks to his miraculous prison breaks, his advanced age later on, and his supposedly deteriorating health, he just constantly slipped right through the cracks of the justice system.
And tracing the final timeline of this ghost, it is just as wild as his crimes. Born in 1912, his ultimate grand escape came in 1996. At 84 years old, frail, sitting in a wheelchair, he was being transported by police to Eames Hospital in New Delhi. They're at this bustling railway station, and he simply asks his guards for a glass of water. Just a glass of water. In that single tiny moment of distraction, he vanished into the sea of commuters, gone. Law enforcement never saw him again. 13 years later, in 2009, his defense attorney claimed he passed away at the age of 97, but come on, given a lifetime built entirely on illusions, that death remains highly, highly disputed. I mean, many people believe he just quietly slipped into yet another identity.
Finally, we arrive at Section 5, the legacy of trust.
Natwarlal may have faded into the shadows, but he left behind a chilling and, honestly, timeless lesson for all of us. If an opportunity sounds too good to be true, it almost certainly is. His crimes expose this really profound vulnerability in human nature, our deep-seated, undeniable desire for shortcuts to wealth and status. You see, he didn't break into vaults or pick physical locks. He simply offered people exactly what their own ambition blinded them into wanting. The most dangerous illusions out there are always the ones we willingly buy into ourselves.
So the crucial point is this. Civilization fundamentally runs on trust. And trust, when it is weaponized by a brilliant, manipulative mind, is without a doubt the most dangerous weapon on Earth. He was a phantom who traded monuments for cash, a thief who essentially stole history itself, simply by weaponizing the trust of the elite.
Which brings us to a final thought to leave you with today. When you look at the shortcuts you might be totally tempted to take in your own life, what are the illusions you willingly buy into? Keep that question in mind, right? And stay vigilant. If you enjoyed diving into the dark hidden corners of history's greatest deceivers with us, make sure to subscribe for more decodings of historic mysteries right here on The Explainer. Catch you next time.